So the trick now is to narrow this down to display only entries that are written by the same author of the current node that we're looking at. So the first thing that we'll need is a relationship to the user from the node that we're viewing, and we've done that before. And then the second thing that we'll need is a relationship from the user back to the content that they created. So we're actually going to create a relationship on top of an existing relationship. So this way to daisy chain relationships is something we haven't addressed before, but it's something we can do in views, and it's something we can also do in panels. It's a great way to get content that's separated from the current content by multiple relationships. So let's start by creating our user relationship. So I'm going to click on Advanced, and under Relationships here, I'll click Add. We're going to do a search for user, and we'll select Content Author here. This is the author that created the content we're viewing, and I'll click Apply All Displays. We'll call this Author of Current Node, and we'll check Require This Relationship, and click Apply All Displays. Okay, so the only thing that this relationship will do right now is expose a set of fields that we can choose inside of our field settings here. Also, what we're going to need is a contextual filter to tell us that we're paying attention to the current node that the user is viewing. So we've added this filter before as well. So let's click Add, and we're going to search for NID. So the content NID here, we'll check it. We'll click Apply All Displays. And just like before, we'll click Provide Default View. Because we're not supplying arguments to the right of the URL, we're supplying arguments within the URL. The type is going to be Content ID from URL, just like we've done multiple times before. And we're going to click Apply All Displays. Okay, if we scroll down, we're not going to see a preview here because we're now expecting a contextual filter. Remember, at least in the context of this site for the examples, we have two blog entries with a node ID of 18 and 19. So let's go ahead and type in 18 and click Update Preview and scroll down. And you see we have one title here. So this is the title of the current node that we're viewing. So far, that's what we've gotten. We've connected with the current node that we're viewing, and we have some fields that we can use for the author. So now we're not going to display any of the author fields, but we're going to use that relationship in order to create a new relationship to point to the content that that author created. So let's scroll up to the top here, and under Relationships, what we're going to do is click Add. And we have a lot of options here, but what we can do is narrow down what's available to us by typing in the type of entity that we're referencing from. So I'm typing in user, and you can see here that we have just a few options for the user here. What we want to check is user content authored. These are the pieces of content that the user has authored, and we've used this relationship before in a previous view. I'll check the checkbox and click Apply All Displays. And for the identifier, we'll put nodes of same author. And we'll check Require This Relationship. Now notice that we have a relationship here for this relationship. So we only have one option here because the only reason that this potential relationship is available to us is because we have this original relationship exposing the additional relationships that we can connect up with the user. Now, if that doesn't sound confusing, then you're amazingly astute. This is actually a pretty confusing part of the process of creating this view, but after you do it a few times, you'll start to see that it makes sense. Okay, I'm going to click Apply All Displays, and if we scroll down, now we see that there are 3 titles here. Okay, so here's a question. Why are these all displaying the same title? Go ahead and pause and try to figure that out. I'm going to go ahead and start telling you in just a couple of seconds here. Okay, you ready? All right, here's the deal. When we look up at our fields here, we're displaying the title, but if we click on the title to get more information about it, you see that we're not using a relationship. So what we're actually doing is displaying the title of the node that we're viewing every single time. We have that field available to us for every one of these results. So what we need to do is set the relationship to nodes of the same author. Once we have that and click Apply All Displays and scroll down, you'll see that the titles have now changed to the related content.